For today's project, we are going to do a pressure transfer of a skull to create a monochromatic painting of a skull. A finished example is going to be this. This is what we will have by the end of the next 2 weeks. I use the color red, and I have a tint with white, a shade with gray, and a tone with black, and a red background. This was all done using white, black, and red. So the things that you have for your materials are a printed sheet of the skull with a 3-hole punch, a watercolor paper, a pen, and a pencil. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put my first and last name at the bottom of my watercolor paper. 7.1, because I'm in the Huskies. This is gonna be the back side, so I'm gonna flip this over. If your name is not on this paper, I will not know whose it is, and it will get lost. We're gonna do a pressure transfer. So I'm gonna take my skull. These are the same exact size papers, so I'm gonna do my best to line them up. And I'm gonna use those 3 holes on the left side as a key. So I'm gonna trace them. 1, 2, 3. So what I can do, if I use these keys, if I get halfway done with my transfer and have to take my paper off, I can take another paper and just line it up on those 3 holes. And as long as those 3 holes, those keys are lined up, my skull will be lined up on both pages. So I'm gonna take my ballpoint pen. We're using a pen because it has a round tip and won't rip the paper. I'm gonna trace the entire skull using pressure. I wanna push down pretty hard because this is gonna make an indent on the paper. You wanna make sure you're drawing with one hand, and you gotta be holding your paper down with the other. Both hands are gonna be moving around the paper as you trace. Your paper does not need to be traced perfectly, but do the best that you can. I'm stopping every few inches because you'll notice that when you push down hard, it really wants to pull that paper up. And what this is doing is making a pressure trace of the skull on the watercolor paper below. This will make your hand really tired, so if you need to take a break every few minutes, that's okay. The goal for class today is to have a complete pressure transfer. If you don't get it drawn today, that's not a problem. Notice that I'm holding the paper down with my fingers on my right hand, and I'm actually using the palm of my left hand to hold the left side of the paper down. Okay, I think I have it all, so I'm gonna pause for a moment and I just give it a quick look over to see if I see any of those gray lines that haven't been traced. It looks good to me, so I'm gonna remove this. And what you won't be able to see on the camera, what you can see by looking using light, is you'll see a impression of the skull. At this point, you will take a pencil, and it's actually pretty easy to trace because if you hold your pencil in the groove, it should keep your pencil lined up, and then you can just go ahead and trace that indent that you made. So it'll come out exactly the way I drew it with my pen. Okay, I think I'm done. And again, I'm just gonna look at it from different angles to see if I'm missing any lines. And it looks good to me. So this is what I would like to see as a finished product by the end of class tomorrow. If there are any questions, go back in this video and try to listen for those specific steps. If you need any help from me, just raise your hand and I got your back. Good luck.